Hello ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how to name and write formulas for covalent compounds. So these are going to be a little bit different than the ionic compounds that you've been working with. Now there are some things that are similar, so you're going to have to kind of separate which things are for ionic and which ones are for covalent. So here we go. So by the end of this video, what you should be able to do is you should be able to write the name or the formula for any covalent compound. So covalent bonding, remember, is when bonds or when atoms share electrons. In ionic compounds, they transferred electrons and gave them away. That's why we had atoms that had charges. In covalent compounds, these are bonds that occur between two nonmetals. Now, nonmetals, remember, are elements kind of on the right side of that staircase. They're ones that have high electronegativities. That's why they're going to share them, because they don't want to give away electrons. So here's how you name covalent compounds. This is probably the easiest naming system of them all. So basically what you do is you name the first element in the formula. Then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to take the second element. It's used using like its root, or kind of like the first part of the element, and you're going to change its suffix to "ide." Then prefixes are used to indicate the number of atoms of each element in the compound. So the first element in the compound, though, will never use the prefix mono. So let's look at one. So here are all my prefixes. So you'll have these on your flow chart. If you look at the back of your flow chart, it has all of these prefixes. You don't have to memorize them. They'll be given to you. You'll be able to have those prefixes on your test. So you don't need to memorize them. Hopefully by the time you're done, you kind of have them memorized. So let's say we have N2O. So basically what I would do is I'm going to name my first element. Well, N is nitrogen, so I name that. Then I have O, so I need to change my second element, its prefix, to "ide. So it's going to be nitrogen and oxide. But I'm going to use prefixes to say how many there are. Because I have two nitrogens, I'm going to write dinitrogen. Then on my oxygen, I would write mono or monoxide. Okay, now, if I only had one nitrogen, I would not use the prefix mono because of Rule 4, which says the first element in the compound never uses mono. Okay, so this would be dinitrogen monoxide because I have the di stands for two, so I have two nitrogens. The monoxide, I have oxygen. Because there's only one, I use the prefix mono. But again, if I had only had one nitrogen, I would not use the prefix mono because nitrogen is the first element named, and we don't use the prefix mono on the first element. Okay, so now we're going to look at how we kind of write the formulas. Again, it's pretty easy. If you just look at the prefixes, it tells you how many of each atom there are. So it says that chemical formula, again, right in its name using the prefixes. So having these prefixes and knowing them are pretty important. So if we have carbon monoxide, well, that means I know that carbon is used, and I know that oxygen is used. So I'd write C, or capital C, and I'd write capital O. Now because the prefix, there's no prefix on carbon, so if there's no prefix on carbon, that means there's one of them. Then on the second one, we've got monoxide, so that means there's only one oxygen, so the formula for carbon monoxide is just CO, capital C, capital O. Then for dihydrogen monoxide, again, di is the prefix for two, so that means we're going to have two hydrogens. So I'd start and I'd write H, then the prefix di is there, so it's going to be H2. Then monoxide, there's one oxygen, so it'd be H2O. And you're like, well, isn't this just the formula for water? Yes, it is. This is kind of like a different way. Water would be like the common name for H2O, and that's the word we typically use, but really we could use dihydrogen monoxide if we wanted it to sound all like scary, but dihydrogen monoxide is a way to name water, H2O. Okay, so after kind of learning those rules, you can kind of rewind if you have to, but what I want you to do in these rows is I've given you the name on this side, and I want you to write the formula. So try practicing some of these. So on this side, I've given you the name, and I want you to write the formula. On these two over here, I've given you the formula, and I want you to write the name. So pause the video right now, take a minute or two, try and write the formulas and names for these compounds, and then you can unpause the video and you can give these a try. Hopefully you took advantage of pausing the video. So here are those answers. So again, you should have each of those. If you have any questions, make sure you check up with me, and I'll do my best to help you out. Also, you can use your flow chart to kind of help you name these elements and compounds, and really any of the compounds that we've covered, you can use that flow chart to name. If you have any questions on that, please make sure you let me know. Thanks for watching.